Welcome back to Let's Talk Dog podcast. My name is Bea. I'm the administrator and moderator for our podcast, and these are the ladies of Let's Talk Dog.
I'm sorry, I had you on mute. Can you repeat that? No, I'm just kidding. Hi, I'm Narka, the dog guru from Central Florida.
I'm Alexis, the vintage dog trainer from Northern Utah.
I'm Rachel from New Jersey with Training That Heals.
And we have our very first boy on the show. Yay.
Might be this way.
I slipped better hair than everybody in the room, but yeah.
True.
What up, guys? My name is Russell, or Russ, of KalmK9Training in New York City.
Yay!
Welcome, welcome.
A favorite amongst us all. A favorite.
What?
A favorite amongst us all.
We kind of crushing on Russ. His hair is nice. He's got a nice smile. He's got a bad attitude. I like him. I like him a lot.
I fixed it up just for you ladies.
So Russ, welcome to our podcast. We just talk a lot of dog stuff here. No, let's talk dog. I'll let Bea here lead the way since she's the host.
So we're going to ask you lots of questions. So many questions you've definitely already answered.
So if you've seen our show before, Bea is a dog owner who is an upcoming inspired dog trainer. She's learning a lot of dog training now, so hopefully she'll be on the dark side with us soon. And then the other three are just trainers here. So you're a dog
just trainers, nothing special.
Yeah, we're trainers. There's no spectrum. We just train dogs, okay? We reward them and we train them. I'll let Bea talk now, I guess.
All right, so Russ, I'm going to start you off with a question that we ask everybody who comes on our show. And I'm going to ask this one at the beginning instead of somewhere in the middle. And that is, what's your favorite breed?
Right now, it's golden retrievers. I know I sound like a bad dog trainer.
I thought he was about to say doodle. I swear I thought he was about to say golden doodle.
But no, right now it's golden retrievers. Like, to be honest, I used to hate golden retrievers, and I swore I'd never own one for a lot of really stupid, petty reasons. And then I got one, and I fell in love with the breed because I think that, first of all, I have no interest in having a high drive, high energy dog after working with dogs all day. So I'm totally good with having a relaxed golden retriever that has some drive, like he can be fun and silly and crazy, but he also knows how to completely shut off really easily, just temperament-wise. And I think that that's awesome about golden retrievers. And they're just like such an underrated breed. I don't know why more people aren't getting them anymore. Just fucking awesome. They're so fun and goofy and silly and smart as fuck.
Agreed.
What's your least favorite?
Chihuahuas.
Oh, mine too. And I own one, and I said I never would.
Because they're absolutely useless. Like,
Yeah.
He's
pretty cool. Hey, you don't know my Chihuahua.
No, I'm sure he's awesome, and he's like
He's a pit bull, okay?
I'm sure he's like a German Shepherd and a little body, and he's awesome, but I don't understand why people own Chihuahuas. So yeah.
I don't either.
I feel like they just show up one day at your house and then refuse to leave for like 20 to 25 years. Like, that's what having a Chihuahua is, in my opinion. It's always the dog that the owners are just like, yeah, he's still here.
They live
And I feel like
as long as cats do.
I feel like they're always old. Like,
Yeah. And they always are like shaking and they don't ever properly sit. They're just like there. And like, it came with the house type of thing.
I recently learned that Chihuahuas.
Chihuahua in person.
Sorry?
I've never seen a puppy Chihuahua in person.
Oh, don't worry, you don't need to. I recently learned that Chihuahuas were originally used as sacrifices by the Aztecs. That's what they were bred for. So they're literally useless. Like, they weren't bred for any job. They were bred to be sacrifices.
They have like a symbolic purpose. I heard that many years ago.
No.
They're like icons or something in some way for a couple of different cultures, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's super.
I would never own one.
Weird.
I said that my entire life. I hate Chihuahuas. I would never own a Chihuahua. And then Snoop Dogg came along.
I kind of just learned you just can't say never, because I said I'd never have a Mal.
Oh, yeah.
And what did I do? I brought home a Mal.
I literally caught myself in that lie today. Like, I was sitting here and talking to Corey, and I was saying how I would really like to get a French bulldog, but I was like, I'll never get another dog. I'll only want one dog ever at a time. I don't want to be a multi-dog owner. And as soon as it left my mouth, it was like, I just put it in the universe. It's
You're
gonna
gonna have
happen
4 dogs
now.
by the end of the year.
I know.
Every multiple dog household at one point said, I only want one.
I said I only want one.
Everybody's dad says they don't
I
want a
have
dog.
4 to foster.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
want to be that person. I don't want to. But
will
it's
be.
it's hard. It's fighting an upstream battle. You know, I'm a dog trainer already. Like it's bound to happen. I'll accept the fate when it comes one day.
I'd never planned on having 3 dogs and a foster, but here I am. So, and I said never about it too. So,
Right. It's every
It's
time
only
you
a
say
matter of
never,
time.
it's like, yeah, I know.
I'm already ahead of
Um,
the curve.
See you guys in my glasses.
Oh yeah, I see my reflection. Okay, so I'll kick off the next question. So I don't know how many people who listen who know Russ, but something about Russ that I've always liked is all his social media posts are I find them very positive. They're very directed at the owners. And so, I always get inspiration from you. Where do you get your inspiration from? Because I love all your little words and everything that you write up.
From seeing that what I thought owners wanted wasn't being given. I was a dog owner. I still am a dog owner. And I think that it was lacking. I think that I saw a couple of things when I was starting to search for dog trainers on social media, like most dog owners do at some point when they're struggling and I saw a lot of trainers talking to each other. And I saw a lot of trainers sounding very smart, but not necessarily giving information that's digestible to the average owner.
Yeah.
And I didn't see a lot of, here's simple stuff that anyone can understand. Here's something that's relatable to everyone. And I was like, I want to give what I was looking for. So really, I was inspired by what was missing in the dog world, at least when I started searching for things. I think more trainers are gearing their content now, or trying to, towards owners and making it digestible. But when I first started on my journey with all of this and was struggling with my own dog really badly, I didn't see a lot of that. And I was like, this is missing. So I guess I was inspired by everybody's lack of doing the right thing in the industry. And I decided I wanted to try to do it differently. Hey. Thank you.
Hear that?
So yeah, I think somebody's knocking on my door, but we're gonna ignore it. I'm not home.
Your
That's
TikTok
what I would
account
do.
was one of the first ones I followed when I joined TikTok. I remember seeing your hair.
One
And
of the
I was
first
like,
ones I
"Oh, yeah,
followed,
nice hair." And then I saw you talking dogs, and I was like, hey, he's talking dogs. All right, let me follow this guy.
I was one of the first.
Yep.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was like when TikTok first became a thing.
That was like the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I signed up for it, and I was like, oh, cool, okay, let's post dog stuff. And I don't know what the hell I was posting. I just put some random stuff up. And then I started to see your stuff. I started to see John Gatta's stuff. I started to see Sailor Jerry's stuff. And little by little, a bunch of trainers just started kind of coming onto the platform.
I only started about a year ago. I was about 6 months behind everybody else. And your account, Narca's account, Jonas's account, Jerry's account, and Alexis's account were some of the first ones I followed.
Really?
I left TikTok for a
Been there
long time.
that long?
Yeah, you've been on TikTok for a while.
I think actually this is like my 1 year, July. I think I joined last July.
So
we know a little bit about your training, but our followers may not know much about you. So tell us how you got started.
So I got started in a similar way to a lot of other trainers, I think. I have a dog named Marley, who's my first dog. I didn't grow up with dogs. I didn't have any real dog experience. I always loved dogs. I wanted dogs, but I grew up in a household with a lot of kids. So my mom's rules for pets was they got to be able to be flushed down the toilet when they die. So we had fish and frogs.
It's like my third time I've heard you say this story, and I love that you always say that.
But yeah, I always wanted dogs. And I got Marley when I was, I guess, 20, I think, because I think he's 7 now. I got Marley about 7 years ago, I think. And he was a young puppy, 3 or 4 months old. I got him from the shelter because I was very into that, only dogs from shelters then. And he's some sort of ratty mix, like ratty hound mix, and he was a cute little puppy, and everything was awesome, of course. And I thought, like most dog owners think, that as long as I love him, he'll listen to me. And it worked for a while until he hit like around the 5 or 6 month mark, when dogs become dogs. And he started to become very reactive, and eventually the reactivity became full out aggression. And obviously I went to the dog park every day because that's what you're supposed to do, right? And he became even more reactive and had a whole bunch of dog fights and became a pretty bad dog. He was an asshole. And I knew I wasn't going to give this dog up, because there was no way. I loved him too much already. But I also knew that I couldn't live with him like this. He was ruining my life. And it was pretty bad. So I also had no idea that there was this whole industry. Like, I didn't know that there was thousands of dog trainers around the country, and that there was this whole dog training world, and that there were like dog enthusiasts. I didn't know about any of this. I just thought like there's Cesar Millan and dog owners.
Until TikTok.
And
So
nothing in between.
yeah, that's how I thought of it. So I watched obviously a ton of Cesar Millan and thought I'll be able to train my dog that way. And it worked, but then it didn't work, and then it did work, and like I continued to struggle. And eventually I started to just try different things, ask people, and started to Google dog training stuff, and found different trainers who I tried different methods and different techniques. And it was a whole long journey. At the same time, I needed a job. I had gotten fired from my old job, which was the greatest thing that happened. And I jokingly asked the daycare where I was bringing Marley for boarding if I can get a job there. And ended up started to work there when I came back from vacation, and loved being around the dogs and watching their behavior with each other and learning from the dogs. And at the same time, I was also learning with Marley. And I fell in love with working with dogs. I knew I wanted to work with dogs. At first, I wasn't sure what. I also didn't really understand that you could like be a dog trainer, that that's like a thing. I just knew that I just at this point knew that there were some dog trainers out there, but I didn't know that like you can just become a dog trainer. And while I was working at the daycare, so when I walked into the daycare on the first day, they gave me a squirt water bottle, and they asked me.
Every
That was a great-
daycare.
Yeah, it was a great tool. The dogs loved it.
Unless the dog enjoys it. And the
Yeah.
dog useless.
So they handed me the squirt water bottle. They said, "Are you scared of big dogs?" I said, "No, I love big dogs." So they put me in with the big dogs, and they basically, my training was squirt them when they get too rowdy. If you need to take a dog out of the area, you could for a few minutes for a timeout, and make sure that they're not too loud and that there's no fights. And that was it. And I was thrown into this big group of dogs, and I was like, this is great, and I'm loving being around dogs, but I'm leaving work every day with a huge headache, because of course a squirt bottle is not going to get them to be quiet. And there's anywhere from 10 to 30, sometimes more, different dogs from different households, all being cyclists. So, because no good dog goes to daycare, they stay home because they're good dogs. So I had to figure out a way to I wanted to keep working there and I loved it, but I also hated getting headaches every day. So I slowly started to, with a lot of trial and error, figure out different approaches to getting a whole group of dogs to chill. And I didn't know about pack work, and I didn't know about any of the techniques that a lot of trainers use now to work with big groups of dogs. I had no idea about any of it, but I slowly was able to, without any tools, just a lot of body language and some physical touch and calmness. I attribute a lot of calm energy to helping with it as well, and movement, to get this whole pack of dogs to start to respect me and to settle in. And as soon as I realized I could do that, I fell in love with behavior, and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find a way to make this a job. And then eventually I went to school in New York for some dog training, and yeah, here I am. And then I left there a couple of years ago. I think I'm coming up to 3 years, maybe 4. I think this is my 3rd summer since I've been on my own as KalmK9Training.
Nice. Awesome sauce. Love it.
That's the story.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's like how a lot of trainers kind of got into it. I mean, like, I have like a sort of similar background. mine was like needed a job, went into dog walking on my own. So like I was getting the most terrible dogs ever.
Application.
And like the same thing, like I realized I really liked working with dogs, and then I started to realize, hey, there's actually like a whole industry here. And then I think a lot of people don't realize that. In the same sense too, I think a lot of owners that are struggling with their dogs also don't realize there's a lot of options. Like how a lot of my owners find out is through word of mouth from like their friends. Like they're like crying and upset about their dogs, and they happen to talk to the right person, and they're like, hey, do you know that like dog training is an option? And a lot of people don't realize it's more than just like learning sit and how to walk. Like,
Everybody
there's
thinks
behavior.
like pet store training when you think pet training. Like people don't
Yeah.
think like, about private lessons, and a lot of people think they're super expensive too. Just shop around.
It's so crazy how like the whole industry though is like, it's not like it's hidden, it's not like we're hiding it, but it's just not like common
not
knowledge.
put
I
out there
feel
like a career. It's really not put out there as a career, and there is a lot of money in this if you know what you're doing and if you're doing it right. Like you can run a really successful business as a dog trainer. It's a really good career path. I went to school for criminal justice, and I'm a dog trainer. my
English literature
is nothing right now because I'm a dog trainer. I'm a professional dog trainer. So I don't think people. I got asked today at a little patio, like, you make good money like doing the dog training? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a good career. I wouldn't be doing it. Like, it's good money, but working with dogs, I mean, I get to chill with dogs all day. It's not easy. It's still work. A lot of people are like, oh, you're so lucky. This is some work, people. This is still work. This is still a job. Like, and you're in charge of other little creatures and them staying alive. Like, that's a lot of work. It's a responsibility, man. But yeah, in it to change lives.
I think that there is a shift though in the dog world in general of people slowly normalizing training, right? I do see it from when I first got into this till now, even though it's not that long. I see a shift of it becoming more of the norm to reach out to a trainer, that it's not like as taboo, I guess, to actually think about training when you get a new dog. It's like dog owners will tell new dog owners, hey, hire a trainer. It's going to be so helpful. I've seen it become more and more normalized, even just in my local area and my client group and all of that, that people are starting to hire trainers at a younger age for the dogs, not wait till they have issues as much. Obviously, there are those that still do, but I just think that there is a shift slowly happening of it becoming normalized, which is awesome. Like, it means something we're doing as a whole is working.
Right. I think it's also like the generations too. A lot of my clients are younger than I am, and I'm pretty young. And I'm always amazed when I get like somebody who's like 18, 19 years old. Because I know when I was 18 and 19, I would not have thought I wanted a dog, but I would not have hired a trainer. I would have been like, oh, well, this is just it. And I think it comes with the generation thing. Cause like I look to like my parents' generations who were brought up in the 50s and the 60s. And like
dogs outside,
how they owned a dog is completely different from how we all own dogs now. And I think that it's the offshoot because it's definitely contributed to a lot of the behavioral issues that we're seeing nowadays. But because of that too, I think that's why training is also becoming more normalized. And in the same sense too, like you said before, I do see a shift in like the social media posts too from trainers. I see them directed more towards owners and trying to be supportive and not placing blame. When I first got started 4 years ago, I think it was 4 years ago now, is when I got into dog training. And I remember the first couple social media accounts that I followed dog training related, it was all like you said, like you didn't understand it. It was not even in like conceivable English or layman's terms. Now it's like it's laid out like, dear reactive owner, here's what we could do. And it's like really broken down. And it's not about like showing off your knowledge. It's about genuinely giving tips that are useful and can be implemented immediately after reading the post. Like it's not some big secret or anything like that.
Yeah.
I live in a smaller city. Columbus is only about 300,000 people. It's not a big city. And what I've noticed is the gap between trainers being common and trainers not being common is older owners here, like in their 50s and 60s, they've all used trainers. And then there's a gap through my age group, which is 40, and then down to about age 25 where there's a lack of training and using trainers other than PetSmart and things like that. And then you get into the younger people who are all like, yep, get a trainer right away. So for here, and I'm wondering if it's just because you guys live in cities in more populated areas, if here it's because we have a lot of hunters.
Well, for those that don't know, Russ and I are actually like in like a similar radius. He's not too far from me. I'm not technically in a city. He is closer. You're not really in a city. You're just close to the city, right?
Yeah, technically it's considered New York City, but it's not like what
It's not like city people know.
Yeah, it's not what non-New Yorkers think of as the city. Like there's no skyscrapers. Like it's a nice little neighborhood.
And I live in like the woods, like the thick of it woods. So like, but in our area, I feel like it's like 50-50 split. Down where I am in Jersey by the Jersey Shore, I have either all my clientele is like over retirement age because people come here to retire, or really young people because there's a lot of schools around here. So I also have like that. And I think that it's kind of just either way. I know that the big issue over here in this area is we have a lot of rescue organizations. So we automatically have a lot of dogs that have behavioral issues, like a lot of them, especially in my area. I have so many big rescues right around me that specialize in like bully breeds and like adult bully breeds that have been surrendered multiple times, stuff like that. So I'm constantly seeing stuff related to that. But I think that's what pertains to my area, not so much the people.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to clientele, like my clientele are mostly young families with young kids and mostly moms reaching out for help.
Yeah.
And I guess it really just, like you said, I don't think it's necessarily one rule because I've spoken to trainers from all around the world really at this point, and it's all based on the area you live in and the population of what type of clients you're going to get, you know?
Yeah.
Like I very rarely have anybody above the age of 50 as the oldest, whoever reaches out for anything, even 40. Like most of it is young families, young kids, like young families with young kids. That's my majority of my clientele these days.
I think it also matters how you, sorry, B. I was gonna say, I think it also matters how you set yourself up as like a trainer too. Mm-hmm. Like I know a lot of clients we get, they relate to like Corey and I, because like we really put out there that we struggle with like mental health and stuff like that. So that's a lot of the people that we attract is like people that are feeling like anxious and they think that relates to their dog, and stuff like that. So I think it also matters how you show yourself is what you attract kind of also. Yeah,
for sure. I'm not sure what that means about me because I don't know why I'm attracting young families, but makes sense.
It's in your future. Don't say it's never going to happen. It'll happen.
You handle a lot of obedience stuff?
Do I?
Younger dog obedience? Do you like that really what you give these families, or is it more reactive dog stuff and aggressive?
I guess it's like a mix, really. The younger dogs are mostly just like obedient stuff. I feel like most of the dogs have some level of reactivity, but not generally too extreme. But it's a mix. Like it's not, I wouldn't say like I have a majority of one or the other. I'll go like even the dogs I have right now with me, like one is a super anxious, fearful, probably genetically messed up dog. And then I have a Puerto Rican street mutt. And then I have like a Labradoodle that just went home that's like really didn't even need training. It just needed somebody to like tell it how to sit down for a second or whatever. But like it's a mix. So like that dog I just sent home today was all obedience. I mean, but the other dog I have here is like total behavior. He's an anxious mess. So I think it's just a mix.
You're muted.
Me? Oh.
No, B.
What's your favorite kind of case to work?
I like dogs who are anxious and fearful. But some of my favorite dogs that I have worked with were the bitey ones. I don't know necessarily because they're bitey or not, or because like the success I got out of it felt really good compared to like training a Labradoodle how to lay down. there's only so much of a good feeling I'll get out of teaching it down. But but I like dogs. I like dogs who struggle with anxiety, I think, a lot. I just feel that I can help them well. I think that I have a good vibe for them. I don't have much anxiety, so I think that helps them in a sense because I can be very, I have a very calm and kind of like
Calm
equal.
K9. Get
Yeah.
out.
My energy is pretty, I guess you can call it like balanced, like neutral most of the time, which I think is really good for dogs like that. So we kind of connect well.
I like that. Miss Alexis, it's your turn to ask a question.
I've been waiting. I don't even know what your voice is like anymore.
I struggle. My brain is also like still at work dealing with shelter dogs. So what's the most challenging case that you've worked so far?
Oh, either Chase or Chase. No either's.
Just lower Chase's issues.
So Chase was a dog that was, I would say, had some really messed up genetics. And from day one, when his owners got him, he was super reactive. He was a Chow mix of some sort. And
I saw him. Yeah.
he was super reactive, aggressive, anxious, fearful, like the whole thing. And he was definitely the worst in that sense that I worked with. I remember a moment where I thought that I wasn't going to be able to help him and that I failed him. And I learned a shit ton from that moment because I had to step aside and realize like it's not about me being successful, it's about helping the dog as best as he can be helped. So like the fact that I felt like a failure was my stupid ego getting in the way of actually just being present and helping the dog. And it was definitely the most challenging and also the most rewarding and probably also one of my most successful cases in the big picture because he hasn't had any bites since he went home a year ago, and he goes everywhere with his owner and like restaurants and patios and places that I told him never to go. And they put in it's all on them. They put in a shit ton of work to do it. Like I just gave them a foundation, but he was definitely the biggest challenge because he was very hard to read. He gave me a lot of false positives where I thought that things were going really well and like we like got over that hump, and then he'd turn around and attack me. So that was really tough. It like forced me to recognize, first of all, like there's this idea that there's always warning signs, which once you work enough dogs, you'll realize that that's a lie because sometimes there aren't warning signs and dogs just go off. And
especially
it was a
when
good
it's genetics. Like
exactly. And this dog, like I'm no doctor to diagnose him, but if you know when you know, and this dog was just fucked up. And there's always going to be a level of management in his life, and his owners are extremely committed and they live that life with him, and he's alive and he's living a life that I never expected he would live because of the level of management they put in with him. But it was very challenging dealing with those false positives, and recognizing that it wasn't me failing him. It was that this is who he is. And like some dogs, it's just who they are. And you could help them as far as you could. And you could set the owners up to continue going. And that's who the dog is. So I learned a shit ton from him. Like I'll always remember that dog. So that was Chase. It was a year ago today that he came to me actually, because my Facebook memory just popped up and I saw. So yeah.
Can we get into a little bit of management? Like speaking about management, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to dog training. Everyone thinks it's like a quick, easy fix. Let's just put them in a board and train. Let's fix them, or put them in classes and let's fix them. And when it comes to dog training, every single dog that I've trained requires maintenance. And management and requires a little bit of. Well, I work with difficult dogs a lot of the time too, but management is something that should be in that dog's life after training as well. So
I always end my go home sessions at the end of my board and trains, like when they're walking out the door, I always make a point to say, this is your new day one, the work starts now. not the last 3 weeks while your dog was with me. It starts now when you're going home. That's the management phase. That's the lifestyle. That's the important stuff.
So how do you handle like your boarding trains when they go back home? Do you do boarding trains, Russ?
Yeah, I do primarily boarding trains. I've recently been doing some one-on-one like private sessions as well. I think that the whole concept of management being separated from training is a misconception. I think they're one and the same. Anything that we want to work on in life takes a level of management. Like when I was going to the gym once upon a time, I only was able to consistently be able to lift those heavy weights and keep a certain look and all that stuff because I was managing my life to do that, right? And that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. People look at management as like, well, if a dog still needs to be managed, they're not trained. And it's really because every aspect of your life that you're successful in is because you manage that part of your life in a disciplined manner so that you can do it, right? Like we all are running businesses. And if we weren't managing our businesses, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because it would have failed a long time ago. So I think that we have to change the view on management because I see a lot of this rhetoric out there like if your dog still needs management, it's not trained. And like I just don't see it that way. I see it as management is a part of training. Training isn't something that's one and done and over. It's a lifestyle, right? It's something that you either are doing or it's not being done. It's not something that you just have done 3 years ago and now I'm done with it, right? Like it's like any skill. And if you don't keep it up and you don't manage it and you're not disciplined about it, then of course it's going to all be gone because that's life. Like nothing lasts without.
It's like a gym membership, guys. Just like a gym membership.
I like it more than the gym.
Yeah. But
what?
It is just
I like it more than the gym.
Oh, me too.
Eating right. It's just like working out. It's if you're trying to get in shape and lose weight and be healthier, it takes that management. After you work out, you got to manage it with the food and water and vitamins, and you have to take care of your body. And it's not just showing up to the gym, and just going there for an hour a day. And then you have to challenge yourself. So after you know what you know, then you got to challenge it. So same with dogs.
You guys know Gary Vee?
Yeah.
Anyone? Cool.
No.
So if you don't, then look him up because he's the shit.
He's a motivational speaker. You know him. You'll see he's short and very loud.
If you're on TikTok, you've seen him at least 10 times.
Somebody's reposted something about him.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So Gary Vee, a long time ago, I heard this quote from him that you don't get big biceps by reading about doing push-ups, right? And like you can have someone else work with your dog and you can read every dog training book in the world and watch 1.5 million videos and then follow every dog trainer on social media. But if you don't fucking put in the work, then you're not going to get anything. And that doesn't mean put in the work once and then you're done. It doesn't mean do like a drill here and there and give them some treats. Like it means living with your dog a certain way. That's really what training boils down to. At the end of the day, obedience is not really necessary to have a good dog. What's necessary to have a good dog is the management and the structure and the way we live with our dogs. I just want people to stop thinking of management as something that's bad and start thinking of it as training itself.
I completely agree. And this is something I try to drive home with all my clients too, because I think it does have a backwards outlook on it also. And I try to always get people to think about like, listen, we all wake up every day and we take inventory with ourselves and we say, okay, what do we need today? I'm feeling a little bit anxious. I know I'm going to have a healthy breakfast. I'm going to maybe do some meditation or go for a walk, something that I know centers me. And then I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But the idea to do that for our dogs, it comes down to, oh, well, then they're not trained. Oh, they're not good enough. Well, why shouldn't we do that for them too? They're beings as well. They also have all those things that come up for them too. Having structure in your life or your dog's life doesn't mean that you're not a good human. I mean, I need a ton of structure in my life. That doesn't mean that I'm a lesser human from any of you because I need that structure. My dog's not lesser because he needs structure. It means that I'm managing what he needs appropriately. I completely agree. It's almost like kind of backwards, and I would like to see a change in that too. And I think that the perspective is starting to shift a little bit because, like we said, there's definitely a turn happening in the owners that are coming up, like the next generation. And I think that has a lot to do with mental health and everything and people being more open about it. But I think there is a shift that's taking place.
even
Yeah.
in the last like 3 months, from watching on social media, there's a shift where you're seeing more owners who are heavily starting to get involved in training their dogs, who are starting to structure everything and talking about it and talking about the management aspect and things like that.
I think this whole last year, because of like COVID and everything, and like all the COVID dogs, I think that's why we're seeing a lot of mass of owners acknowledging behavior and trying to find solutions to what they're seeing because of what was created during the pandemic. I think that's why.
Owners are going to be the ones who are going to make the changes. It's not really going to be dog trainers. Like,
Yeah.
the real changes that are necessary in the dog world will come about by owners changing and speaking about it, which is like, I love seeing accounts that are just dog owners sharing their journey, sharing their life, sharing what they're doing with their dogs, because even though I consider myself just a dog owner, like whatever, dog trainer is a title that was given to me, but I'm just a dog owner and I like helping other dog owners. But people look at all of us as something different, right? We're like, you're a dog trainer, so of course you're gonna think that way. But as soon as you start to have the average everyday dog owners talking about the same things that we're talking about, but from their perspective, not trying to educate and teach to the masses, but just sharing their journey in a very authentic way, that's when people are going to be like, oh, well, they're just like me. They're not a dog trainer. They're an accountant and they're a lawyer and they're an engineer and whatever it is that people are doing. And they are caring about these same things that I saw Russ and Alexis and Rachel talking about. And Norca too. Norca, you also. And and that's when the real change is going to happen, because like owners are going to start to see each other doing this. It's almost going to become a trend and a fad, and people are going to want to get on the train of being the cool owner who
There's
talks
gonna
about
be so many well-behaved puppies out there.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I have hope.
My favorite thirst trap that I've been seeing lately is the I've got a well-trained dog thirst trap.
I haven't seen that. Tag me.
Oh, next time I see one, I'll send it
Yeah,
to you.
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Definitely
serious.
do it.
I ran into it a few times and I'm like, I shy.
I'll have to get into it because my TikTok is only for thirst traps.
I'll send it over to all of you. They're funny.
Yeah, you and Ryan are driving me crazy with your guys.
You guys are killing us.
Can't be doing that. Yes, you can't be doing that.
I don't know what else to use TikTok for. Like, what else should I do with it?
Like training dogs, showing results.
Yeah, that's boring. Everybody else is doing that.
I feel like I like
Sitting
that
in the
TikTok
rain.
is trying to be fun. Like I think it should be fun. I'm so tired of everybody always feeling like they need to be serious. Like I wish, like what you were just talking about, like I want owners to look to us and see that we are relatable, or see that my dog's a dipshit sometimes too. Like he's not perfect.
I actually, as an owner, I really enjoy like when people who are trainers are showing like they're training their dog and the dog's just like,
Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to do a video with Tate the other day. He was not having it.
It makes
Actually,
it more relatable.
My favorite thing that I have ever gotten from TikTok, which is not really related, but kind of related. Somebody commented on one of my videos and was like, your dog's not trained. He's not even looking at the camera. And I'm like, when did we train dogs to look at the camera? I'm like, he doesn't know where to look.
The expectation of
the
somebody's
camera.
followers
I
is
use a treat.
ridiculous.
Like it was the most insane comment I ever got. I'm like, first of all, I want him looking at me, not at the camera. That's not the purpose.
He's not the star of the show.
I think we have a responsibility to be relatable. Otherwise, it's stupid and useless. Like,
It is. I agree.
A dog trainer that doesn't have a dog.
and if you actually like, there's no other way to stand out besides being yourself, because everything else is done already. There is nothing in dog training that you're going to teach that hasn't been taught already. Like, I don't care who you are and how good you think you are. Like, it's been done already. It's all been done. There's nothing new. You can try to reinvent the wheel in a million different ways, but it's all been done.
Change the commands to different words. It doesn't have the same stuff.
Do it whatever you want. Call things different things. Like, you want to call you walk decompression, you want to call it structured, you want to call it this, you want to call it that. Everybody's spoken about everything already. The only thing that's going to actually make you stand out and make you better is being yourself, because that's something that most people have never actually done. So like do that and you'll actually stand out. You'll get to like attract the people who are truly interested in you, which is the dopest thing out there, instead of having people who like don't really care about you at all and hate who you are as a person because they don't really know you. So I just think like it's a win-win to be yourself on social media.
I agree. This is something, I mean, like, that's what I was just saying. Like, I feel like the clients we attract relate to like how Corey and myself are as people. We get a lot of young girls that are pretty similar to us and dealing with the same things. And so that's who like we attract. And then the bonus is, like, we were talking about this the other day, because it's like, we just came up on our 2-year anniversary of opening Training That Heals. And we were talking about how we love being our own bosses and we get to do what we want and wear what we want to work, and we show up in pajamas someday. And it's really great. And it doesn't, I remember it was like a year ago, my mom and my boyfriend watched me leave for work and I looked like a hot mess express. Like I literally rolled out of bed and like left for work. They're like, that's what you're going to, I'm like, you know what the greatest thing about owning your own business is and being completely transparent on social, people know what they're purchasing. They know what they're gonna get. I'm like, and that's what it is. They know what's walking into their house and they hired me anyway.
Yeah. If you have a social media persona, then you got to always keep that going, because at some point you're off social media with the client and they're going to be like, well, we didn't hire that. We hired like the exciting person or the person with this voice. And now like you're here and that's not you, because you're not going to always be able to keep it up. At some point, the camera's not going to be in front of you. You'll slip up. All of a sudden you'll be yourself and people are like, well, that's not what we asked for. So put that show back on. But like,
you get what you see here, guys. This is it. This is it.
It's true. That is it.
This is all of it.
And we love it. We love it.
We can vouch. Amanda has met me in
person.
Yeah, no, this is not usually what you get. It's 9.5 hours at the shelter.
Alexis is normally more awake.
Yeah, more awake, more dressed, more
Trying to
loving the gear. Where'd you get it?
Alexis, do you work at a shelter now?
Yes, I'm at the shelter now. It's been interesting. Excuse me. Yeah, it's been pretty good. I have a couple behavior cases that I'm working right now, so they've been good. Actually had a really awesome like meet and greet with the potential adopter that my manager, like out the gate, she was like, he's not gonna like them. He doesn't like colored people. And I was like, we got this. Norca saw him the other day, actually. He's the one that I FaceTimed you with. That I've been working on stranger danger with him, and he has really random triggers and you never know who he is and isn't gonna like. But I guess he has a track record of not liking darker skinned people for whatever reason, and had a meet and greet with a whole Hispanic family, and he rocked it and was letting them walk him around and was going up and saying hi to them, and I was like, cool, we made some progress.
My first volunteer shift at my shelter is tomorrow.
That's exciting.
I'm excited.
But yeah, the one downside to it is I'm not gonna wear difficult to wash clothes with dogs that sometimes are covered in their own feces and like to jump on me. So all the vintage stuff that's hard to take care of stays home.
You want to wear dog gear for dogs.
Yeah. I don't like it. That's the downside. I'm trapped in pants all day.
Dog.
Yeah, and
my favorite thing about working at
daycare,
I think
and Ben is always just like, what the hell are you doing? You smell weird, and the cat won't get near me, and
that's great.
It's good though.
Yeah, my dogs used to be mad at me. They used to just stay away from me too in the beginning. And then they got used to it.
You gotta talk a little louder.
I said my dogs were always mad at me when I came home from work. Working at the daycare, because I smell like 40 different dogs. Like they couldn't tell who I was with.
Can you get out of the way? Oh my goodness, both of you guys. Obviously, I've been gone all day.
Part of the show.
I want to be part of the show.
All right, I'm trying to think. So Russ, we've asked you your favorite case. What's your favorite thing to teach owners? Like, what's your favorite lesson or word of advice that you leave with owners?
I heard. I'm just thinking.
I know. I see your thinking face.
He's describing it for our listeners.
Yeah, you described the thinking face while I think.
He is moving his chain on his chin. He's fidgeting with his chin.
He looks very, very frustrated right now.
I do the same thing. That's what I do.
I had my necklace off the other day because I was having it clean, and the amount of times throughout the day that I went like this, like trying to do this so I can think, I can't think without it. Like my brain shuts off.
My thinking necklace.
Yeah, this is like a tick for me. If I'm doing this, you know that I'm like 2
mine.
seconds away from snapping.
I pull a strand down and spin a strand.
I think it's less about something teaching them with their dogs and more about like empowering them, because that's really what I find is most important. Like teaching owners to be okay with saying no, not just to their dogs, but to other people is one of the most powerful things, really, because that's an empowering thing that in general in society and a lot of people have a hard time with saying no. It's like everyone's a people pleaser to some extent, and a lot of people have been taught that saying no is rude or it's not acceptable and whatever.
How do you say
really,
no? So can I
no
pet
is,
that dog?
I think that no is like really one of the most powerfully empowering words, because it lets you take ownership of yourself, and that's like something that a lot of people struggle with in general. I know I struggled with it for years, and I learned a lot about that from my own dogs and working with dogs. So when I see owners getting to be able to feel empowered in that sense, it's a beautiful thing to see. Yeah, a lot of what I appreciate about all of this is less to do with the dogs and more to do with the people. Like, okay, don't cancel me. I love dogs, but I really love people a lot more.
I don't
And
think you can be in this business and not have good customer service, because
yeah,
a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I got into this because I hate people. You can't. There's no, this is literally 90% people, 10% dog. Like, it's not.
yeah.
You need
And
to be a people person.
the people coaching aspect of it is really what I love. Like and that's why I like the behavioral cases, because you have more of that.
Right.
With obedience, there's always some level of it, but I just like the ones that when you see that thing click in the owner's head and then their whole body posture changes, and you see them become more confident. This literally happens in front of me. It's a beautiful thing, like, because
The owner's expression is probably the best thing for me. Like,
Mhm.
how? Like, trying to do this for months, and look, you could just did it in 30 minutes with my dog.
Yeah, that's fun. I think that I just can speak from my own experience with myself and then how I see it play out with a lot of owners. There's so much that we can learn from training our dogs to help us as people. So when I see that stuff start to click in some way, because it's all so relatable in different aspects of life, like I get a thrill out of that. That's what it is for me. There's always like the individual cases where, like, when I teach a specific thing about a dog and an owner is able to do something with their dog where it feels good. Of course, that all feels good, but what really keeps me going generally is the people side of it, and like seeing owners happy and confident, and that shift in owners is awesome. Like, to me, that's what it's all about. Like, I love seeing people shine. It's fun.
Nice.
I think that like what you were saying in the beginning, like about the word no, I agree. I think a lot of people have a hard time saying no. I'm a people pleaser. Corey's a big people pleaser. I have to like follow her around and be like, tell that person no. Don't say yes. She'll say yes to everybody, no matter how bad it is that
A
it's
lot of
been
people
her
say
back.
yes out of habit. A lot of people say sure just because they're just nice.
Right. But I think what people also overlook on top of like learning to say it is a lot of people associate the word no as a limiting word, especially when it comes to their dog, like saying no to their dog. It doesn't have to be limiting. In fact, it can be empowering, like Russ was just saying, especially with our dogs. Like your dog looking to you because they're nervous and they're concerned about what you're passing on the street, and you just say, no, you don't need to worry about it. We're going to move on. Like, that's empowering. And it's not limiting. It's not about control. And it's not about being like, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, we're not doing this. A lot of times it's about letting them know that like, it's not a worry. And I guess I could also go for humans too, but I think that no has this negative association that we shouldn't say it, that if it is said, it comes from a bad place and it's going towards a bad thing, and it's not. It's actually pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful word.
Yeah, no, setting boundaries creates freedom in our own lives and in our dogs' lives. And no is the best boundary word. Like it lets it in a people aspect, it lets you be yourself in a real way, because you can just say no. You can say no to like caring about what people think about you. You can say no to doing things you don't want to do. You can just set real boundaries with that word. It's a beautiful thing. And then you get to truly be free, because like on the other side of boundaries is actual freedom. It just sounds very contradictory, however that word is said, it sounds like that. And yeah, and and but really, if you think about it a little bit on like a deeper level, not a surface level, it is the key to freedom is boundaries, is saying no. And it's the same with our dogs, right? Like a dog that never gets told no gets very limited life. But because my dogs understand what no means and they have boundaries, we get to travel together, we get to see the world together, we get to go to the park, we get to go swimming, we get to live a life together. And the big part of what changes that is the boundaries they have in their life. It's not treats, and it's not love, and it's not anything else. It's real love. It's not surface level love, because real love is setting those boundaries for those who can't set them for themselves, that you're responsible for.
I agree 100%.
So where do you see KalmK9 training in 5 years?
That's a good question. So I definitely like to hire, because right now I'm a one-man show, and that's a lot, too much for me. And I'd love to have some people that I can train under me to kind of that I can trust and to understand my not necessarily. I have some ideas, but yeah, no, not really. We could talk about it off air. But but I want to be able to have some people who I can trust, and it's less about teaching them how I train and more about teaching them the way I think is what I want, so they can understand like the KalmK9 way, but my way of approaching owners and dogs and the whole training philosophy. I don't know what my way is. Like I'm still developing, I'm still learning, but I would love to be able to teach some people to work underneath me who I can trust to help run the business and help train dogs, so that I can, I guess, buy back some of my time and then do more with it, like travel and train dogs that aren't local to me. Maybe do some seminars, workshops that aren't local to me. Things like that I would love to do. I see in my future. Yeah, that's what I see happening in the next couple of years. It's just making it happen, because it's scary to allow other people into your business, because it's like it's your baby, you built it, so it's a scary thing.
And then they have to represent you. That's even harder, because they have their own personality to sell. So
I couldn't imagine doing this without Corey, my business partner. But like I also, even we're in the same boat. Like Russ and I talk about this every once in a while. Like we're equally like overwhelmed with the work, which is a good problem to have. But I struggle with wanting to take on anybody else, because you're trusting them with your baby and like this thing that you created. And it's hard. It's like a big it's a huge commitment. And I almost want to just stay at this level and like not really advance, because I don't want to necessarily like take that on. It's a big thing. It's hard running your own business, but especially a business like this, because you deal with so much responsibility. And I mean that as in, because we deal with such delicate issues with the humans and the dogs, that it's so easy to mess it up, for lack of a better word. And it makes me nervous.
Yeah, it's scary. It's definitely a scary thing. Like, because right now my business is me, right? I am my brand, and I am everything that there is to KalmK9 training is me. And to an extent, I always want that to be. Like, I do want to always be the face of my brand, and I want people to relate to me. But once you invite other people in, that is going to get diluted a little bit to some extent. It has to. You have to be able to welcome those other personalities into the brand and into becoming a part of whatever you want your business to represent and to be. Like for me, this is a lot more than dog training. Like it's people coaching and like I feel like I'm a lot more than a dog trainer. It's just that dog training is kind of my, what do they call it? Trojan horse, right? I think that's the fancy term.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sound like I'm intelligent today.
You've had your experiences to lead you to where you are today. That's why it's hard for me, because you know, not everybody can do what I do because they haven't had the experiences and the dogs that I've trained. So it's kind of hard to just like hire somebody and be like, all right, so let's go into this house and we're handling this aggressive chihuahua, you know, and this person has no idea how to handle behavior or, you know, even understand body language. Or
I can't handle aggressive chihuahuas either.
Yeah, I can't either. I'm just kidding. I can.
Well, I could say from like my perspective, Russ, like having a business partner, and we opened the company together. I mean, I do see it. Clients will take to me sometimes because they relate to me a little bit more. Sometimes they'll take to Corey a little bit more. Certain cases are better handled by Corey because she's better at those cases. Certain cases are better handled by me because I'm better at those cases. So when you do have more people, like it naturally happens. And it can be a great, beautiful thing. Like I think Corey and I have a nice balance because what I'm not great in and what I don't specialize in, she's great in and she specializes in. And like we literally every task that needs to be accomplished for our business gets accomplished by one of us.
But you guys started together too, right?
Yeah, we came from a previous company and then we opened this company.
Yeah, so you guys get to grow together. So it's a little different when you start by yourself and then you got to bring in.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially like when you take in somebody new, like they're looking to make a name like for themselves. And you're right. Like you still want to be the face of your company, but you kind of still want to give them a platform, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah. It's finding that balance, I guess, of being your own brand and also allowing others into its influence. And then it becomes a culture. That's the way I look at it. Like a business should be a culture and a brand should be a culture. And I think when it's done right and you find the right people and attract the right people, then it will organically become that, but it's still scary.
Right. It takes time. It takes time because you have to go through things together. And like, it's not necessarily even about that. Like, I don't think any of us are nervous about training somebody to learn the skills to train a dog. It's learning our brand and how we approach the people. Yeah. And that's what's because we all take on certain types of people, like we've talked about this whole show, like we take on. And so if we take in another employee that is not dealing with the same things that we deal with, they're not going to necessarily relate to those clients as well. And they're going to struggle to talk to them and make relatable scenarios and really connect with them. So that's the thing that I think we all worry about is like they have to be with us for long enough to pick up on like here's how the flow and here's how all that goes.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess again that's another reason why it's important to be yourself as much as you could, because when you do get to that step, you'll hopefully attract the people that will click with you and your style and your personality and all of that, because that's equally if not more important than the skills they have with dogs. Because like there's a lot of dog trainers out there who I'm sure are fantastic, but I would never be able to work with them simply because our personalities are going to clash, and that's okay. But if you're going to have a business together, you essentially like a family together, then you got to be able to connect on a personal level, not just on a business dog training level.
Right.
If you bring anyone in, you're going to have to be able to make sure that they have hair as good as yours.
Oh, 100%. That's the brand. If you don't have good hair, I don't care what
you have shampoo commercial hair.
Long hair and beard do not apply if you do not qualify.
Like if I find somebody who like doesn't have long hair, they'll have to come back in a little bit after they grow it out. We won't show them publicly until they have nice long hair.
No. You have to have crippling anxiety if you want to work for training that heals. Crippling anxiety and stomach issues. That's it. That's what the brand is here.
So when you have clients that you've worked with through like your more difficult cases, do you
Yes, he's 10.
Yeah, you think so, Seth? Has an opinion about it. Do you find that you form relationships with them that turn into friendships?
Not necessarily friendships, but definitely the relationships with the tougher dogs are different, like maybe a deeper relationship in some sense, because we have to connect more and there's a higher level of trust that goes into that. Like dogs are an intimate part of a person's family, right? So to some extent, there's always a high level of trust. But then when it comes to one that's really, really challenging and maybe they've been through a couple other trainers and all of that, you have to form, I think that the relationship is just organically going to be a bit deeper because you get deeper with them and there's more personal shit that has to be spoken about because we all know that owners play some role in their dog's behavior. And so I think that the relationship is deeper on some sense with a lot of them. Don't necessarily have any that I'm friends with from those, but definitely I feel like the overall relationship when we work together, when we talk, is different. We connect differently, I think. Yeah.
That's curious.
I was like waiting. Okay.
Oh wait, there's more. No.
But wait, there's more. Do
What's
you
one thing-
what? Who's saying stuff?
No.
Who said something?
I did.
Oh, go ahead.
What's one thing that you would like to see shift and change in the dog training community at large?
No.
Focusing on dog owners and not each other, because nobody really gives a shit about what dog trainers have to say to each other. I know that if I was an owner right now struggling for help and looking for help, I would not turn to almost any dog trainer in the industry these days because they're all a bunch of dickheads.
Each other.
And to each other and to clients, but to each other. And I don't care how good someone is with dogs. If you can treat each other with respect and dignity, and even if you disagree, but to agree to disagree and to recognize that we're all just doing our best and we're all just have a common goal of trying to help dogs and help owners, you're ruining the industry and you're ruining dogs and you're ruining owners. Like, forget about yourselves for a second. If you're truly in this, and this is to like, if I'm saying this to trainers out there, like if anyone gives a shit about my opinion, if you truly are in this for dogs, as you all claim to be, as we all claim to be, and you're truly in this for owners, then shut the fuck up, put your ego aside, and start focusing on the people and the animals that you say you're in it for. And stop trying to virtue signal and prove that you're better and show how the other ones are wrong. If you want to prove you're better, simply keep showing what you do and eventually let the market decide, because the market will always decide what's best. And that's just how every business works and every industry works, right? Like, there's a reason why some people like Nike and some people like Adidas, because they decide that Nike is better for their look, right? And there's nothing that Adidas can do to persuade the Nike person to get the Nike shoe. So just keep doing your thing. And Nike doesn't care what Adidas does because they're both huge brands and they both know that they have their clientele. We should think of it the same way. Keep doing your thing. Just do it well, as best as you could. Keep learning, keep educating yourself. But stop caring about what other dog trainers are doing, because you're not helping anybody in the big picture. And you're definitely not helping the ones that you claim to be in it for, the owners and the dogs. Just shut the fuck up is really the best way to fix this industry. Everybody shut up a little bit. Step off your high horse. Realize that you're nothing special. Out of this stupid little dog community, nobody gives a shit who you are. You walk through the streets and nobody will ever know who you are. That's fine. That's the way it should be. We are all nothing special. Just focus on what's important, which is the dogs and the owners. And then maybe you'll actually become something special to somebody who you actually help their dog. And brand.
I think I've learned so much from you guys. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I'm learning from you guys. I'm sure we have some followers out here that are learning from us too. But yeah, I think direct your stuff towards your clientele. That's literally that simple. You're not here to teach trainers how to train. Like, if you want to do that, go open up a school and have them to train.
Oh, and one more thing, I got to add on to my rant. Sorry. We as a whole, this industry, should learn how to talk to each other instead of at each other if we're going to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Because talking at each other doesn't get anywhere. So again, if we have this concept that we think we're trying to further this industry and further this beautiful art that we all like to be a part of, by critiquing each other or whatever you want to call it, calling each other out. That's not how it works. You call each other in and you build a community in a real way. Community doesn't call each other out. That's not really what community does. Community calls each other in and welcomes each other in and accepts each other. That's what community is made up of, right? Any successful community, that's what it's made up of. So if we truly think that we need to have community in this industry and we need to be there for each other and we need to further it, then we stop calling each other out, we start calling each other in with love, and we stop talking at each other and we start talking to each other. You know, I mean, I guess in general, that's something that everyone in life should do, but we can just focus it on the industry to start and then we can get the world as a whole.
Right. I mean, we're all humans. We all have opinions. I mean, none of us can sit here and say there aren't certain people we don't like, not even dog training related. I mean, just like when we're walking in the street or we pass people we went to high school with, stuff like that, there's people we don't like for whatever the reason is. We don't like how they said things. We don't like how they look, whatever. Okay, that's human nature. But like what we're putting out into the world, our responsibility, our job as trainers, which if you have a trainer social media account, your job on social media is to educate. It's not to sit there and rant and pick and bash and say why you don't like this other person. You're supposed to all your content should be directed towards the owners, and that's it. Period, end sentence. And to sit here and say that I definitely don't like all trainers for various reasons. I don't like their methods. I don't like how they talk. I don't like how they describe things. I don't like them as a person, some of them that I've gotten to know, and that's it. But you don't see me making any videos, calling any of them out or bashing any of them or saying, here's why I don't like this person.
Right.
I'm not here for the drama. I'm not here for the clout. I'm here for my owners. Until a couple months ago, I only had like 300 followers. All 300 of them were all my previous clients. So anything I made should have been directly for them, you know? And I think as trainers, like, I think a lot of us, and I say us because I know that I got to that point a little bit there too, our egos got the best of us. And we did. We thought we were the best thing since sliced bread. Literally nobody gives a shit about us outside of the dog training community. Like my boyfriend's like, I literally don't care. Stop talking about this. You're just a dog trainer. Like it's not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. But it is like I think a lot of us, the egos went to the head, and I think we need to remind ourselves, me speaking to the trainers now too, your first priority and your only priority should be the owners. And then after that is dogs. That's it.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. That's one thing that I can pride myself on. Like I have a shit ton of hours of me online all over between the podcasts and other content, and you'll never find me shit talking another trainer. It's just not going to happen. Like if I don't like someone, I don't talk about them. If I do like them, maybe I'll talk about them.
Right.
But like that's the extent of it. You're not, because it's useless. And again, I remember when I was that owner looking for help and I started to see all that nonsense and I was like, this is gross. I don't want to learn from these people because they're just assholes to each other. So, and it could have easily pushed me away from ever working with my dog, right? It easily could have, which is a lot of owners out there because they think
stopped me for about a good solid month or two, where I didn't work with 11 at all.
Yeah. And that's sad. Like that should not be happening. It shouldn't be happening. No. I can tell you that I've had a couple sessions in the last 6 months to the last year where I'm in the session and I had a client ask me about other trainers and like the drama. And I had to like shut it down and be like, listen, the priority is your dog. Let's focus on that. Like, it's sad that they see that. It's sad, like, that they know about it. It's disgusting.
it's like parents fighting in front of their kids. Like,
Yeah.
just don't do that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've had a few followers post towards trainers like, just shut up already. Just like train your dogs. Yeah,
I think it all depends on the crowd. I think it depends on the crowd. I think that throughout different social media platforms, it's all different. Like I know TikTok's like the most toxic. Instagram can be.
Twitter's the most toxic.
Yeah, but in dog training.
Dog training, it's TikTok.
Instagram can be, but I've kept my Instagram to like people that I actually like. I don't follow everybody and anybody. And then Facebook, which is honestly where I met Russ first. That was the first place that I ever followed you, was on Facebook. Facebook's like so nice. It's so peaceful on Facebook.
Yeah. It's a different generation on there.
Look, it's peaceful for you guys as the trainers, but for us as the dog owners, it is a toxic pit from hell.
Facebook?
Yes,
Facebook groups.
Interesting.
it's terrible.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. The groups that you guys could all be in. Yeah.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right.
Well, I left all dog training groups years ago.
I left
Like,
all dog groups
Yeah, don't be in any
Right.
dog groups. You're gonna lose your head.
8 months ago. I just left every dog group except for one rescue that I got one of my dogs from.
It's so
Yeah.
funny.
That was it.
Alexis, do you have another question?
Yeah, it's actually super relevant to this zombie phase. How do you deal with burnout?
sucks. I always thought that I would never burn out. Like I don't burn out, right? Because I'm tough and I can do anything.
We're human, guys. We're human.
Yeah, and then I burnt out and I was like, I hate my life and I hate dogs and I hate people and I hate everything and I just want to end everything in my entire life. So it really sucks. I think taking time for ourselves, because we're the most important part of all of this, right? Like we can't be there for the dogs, for the owners, if we're not there for ourselves. And you're not helping anyone by trying to be better than that. You're not helping anyone by putting them before yourself. Because in the long run, you're going to lose. And the dogs are going to lose and everything's going to fall apart. So it's recognizing how important you really are to yourself, to the world, to your dogs, to the owners. You got to realize that you are everything in your world. And like when I had serious burnout a bunch of months ago, and then of course, because everything always happens at once, I got COVID while I had burnout. So I was like, okay, I'm really done. Like I don't need to train dogs ever again for the rest of my life and I'll be absolutely happy. But taking time off, like setting time off, setting time for yourself. And if you feel that you need time, just taking that time. If it's a day that you're just feeling off, and you, even if you do board and trains, your dogs will be absolutely fine by sitting in a crate for 8 to 9 hours during the day, which is what they will do when they're back home anyways with their owners, if the owners are following directions. So it's fine. Put the dogs in a crate and go do something that you enjoy doing. Do it for yourself. Take a walk, take a drink, take a smoke, whatever you do to enjoy your life, go do it, because if you can't come back and be able to work these dogs because you keep pushing yourself through it, again, you're not helping anyone. It's like we care so much about what we do, and I think that's why burnout is so common in this industry, because everyone burns out at some point. That's when they learn all these lessons. They don't learn it from their friends because everybody warned me that I was about to burn out, and I was like, no, I'll never burn out. Like I'm fine. And then it just all happens at once. So then that's when you finally learn the lessons. But it happens because we care so much about it. You know, a good dog trainer is going to be passionate as fuck about what they're doing. Otherwise, they're just not going to survive in this industry. They're not going to survive doing it. The amount of dog trainers that start and quit is huge, because you got to have tough skin and you got to really be very passionate. But that passion can also kill us. It's like a fire. So if we don't know how to contain it and deal with it and keep it safe, then it'll end up burning us and destroying us. So it's just recognizing how important you are in life. And again, like I think of these things as life stuff, not dog stuff. Like I think when we don't recognize in life how important we are, then in life we'll burn out, because we'll always be giving and taking care of everyone besides ourselves. And eventually we fall apart and we resent the whole world. So it's just work on realizing how awesome you are and how important you are and how much the world needs you. And in order to give the world what they deserve from you, you got to give yourself what you deserve.
We give so much to the dogs. I think, to talk on the concept of boundaries, something Corey and I have been learning this summer is setting boundaries with the business and the dogs too. Like we were struggling with, because they're, especially when you do board and trains, like they're your responsibility 24/7 until they go home. And so that does take a level, like even when you're done working, even when you're done working for the day, like 9 o'clock at night, if one of the dogs is getting sick, like that's your job. That's what you have to do. I mean, I had to stay there at her house. I don't deal with it all night. I do get to leave and kind of get to separate from it a little bit. But I had to stay last weekend because she had to go away for the weekend. I was up at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. to do stuff with the dogs. It's a lot. It does take a lot from you. And I think setting boundaries is very important. Like Russ said, it's gonna be fine if the dogs go in the crate at 5 o'clock and like that's it, day's done. Work, because that's a work day. You know, everybody else leaves work at a certain time at the end of the day. So I don't think we need to be working around the clock.
Right.
And setting boundaries with the clients and everything, and making sure you have an off day, even if you board and train, that you don't need to work the dogs 7 days a week. So I think all that's really important also.
Yeah. And as much as I said all of that, I still struggle with all of it. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just that I know that's what's necessary to do it. Something also that I don't know if you guys know Josh from Julie's Canine Academy. No, well, he's an awesome trainer and he's a good friend of mine. And a year or two ago, I was FaceTiming with him. And one of the things that I was asking him was like, how do I live a life like doing this? Like, what, you know, like, how do I do any of this? How do I live? And he told me, he's like, weekends, don't work dogs. You don't have to work dogs on weekends. It doesn't matter if they're board and training with you. Especially board and trains, we're supposed to be simulating real life for them to some extent. That's the whole concept of bringing the dog into your home. So even though we're not really simulating life that much because like we're doing things differently, but weekends and every dog owner at some point is just not doing anything with their dogs.
Yeah.
That's real life. Like I know when it's just me and my dogs, like the once in a blue moon when I have no one else's dogs in my house, it's beautiful. Then like we don't do a lot together. We just hang out. And that's what you should be doing with the dogs. Like my weekends with board and trains here is crate time. If they're lucky, they get a walk. If they're lucky, they go to the park if I'm in the mood, and a shit ton of place time and crate time. And that's it. And you know what? On Monday or Sunday, whichever day I take them out to actually work them again, they want to work.
Yeah.
And they're excited about it. Like it's a win-win. And you'll feel, even if you still have to be home because like you have other people's dogs in the house, so you can't really just go out and party and whatever that much. But it's just a little break from like the hands-on stuff. Like put them on place for 5 hours. Like it's totally fine. It's absolutely fine. That's literally what my Saturday this week was. I took dogs out, bathroom, potty, a couple of dogs went on the treadmill, and the dogs literally just passed out in a pile on the floor. And I was on my phone scrolling through TikTok, and it was amazing. Like that's what you should be doing. Don't scroll through TikTok for 8 hours. It's dangerous. But like the rest of it, you should do.
So I actually had to learn over the last week and a half because I've got this foster that I just got, how to crate and rotate.
Mm-hmm.
Because
You had a
11
fight
wants
breakout.
to.
Yeah, you had a fight breakout. Tell us.
I had a fight breakout.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'll send you the video. It's pretty. It was a little adrenaline rushy.
Yeah, those are exciting.
Did pretty well though. Nobody got hurt. Nobody landed teeth. It was over in 45 seconds.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like good on you. That's awesome.
But the crate rotating, like I know you're doing it because of what happened, but like just to give people perspective into like a dog trainer's life, like our dogs, I don't want to say they're suffering, they're not suffering, but our dogs are suffering a little bit because of these dogs that we have in our house too. Like the rotation schedule at Corey's house, like when she came in the door she was only gone for 24 hours and she came in the door, I was like, thank God you're here. I can't do this. It's too much. I'm done. How do you do this every day? Let me pay you more money. Like take the whole company. Like it's so I was like,
It sucks.
Don't let me ever ask you to do anything ever again. I'll do it all. Like you just rotate the dogs.
It's an art. You understand the craft now, don't you?
Yeah.
You know
We
what
had,
though?
like,
My dogs
so
have
many dogs.
working harder when I've brought them out than they have ever with me before.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're on a crate and rotate schedule. And 11's crated by himself in a room by himself because he can't even see her, or he loses it. He just loses it. And my dogs are working way harder now than they have in the entire time I've owned them. And they're learning more and they're learning faster. It's weird.
It's the value behind all of it.
And I mean, really what we're telling owners to do, even if they have one dog, is to be crate and rotating, but it's only one at a time. But we're essentially telling them to do the same thing. So it's like we feel bad about it because we think we have to devote every single second of our lives to these dogs, but that's not actually setting them up for success, because that's not what they're actually going to be living with their owners. I gotta plug my phone in. That's what's going on here, since you guys asked.
All right.
We're almost done anyway.
We have
so it's just-
ADHD. We're always constantly moving around.
It's true. Every time you see this shake, it's because I have ADHD and I'm sitting still for too long.
Okay, good. So then they fit right in what's going on.
We're almost done anyway. I feel like we've been going for a while.
We have 20 minutes before we have to hard end it.
All right. Well, does anybody else have more questions?
Can I ask y'all questions?
Sure.
Cool. What is your why? Why do you all do this? Like, what does it do for you is what I mean. Like, it does something for
I don't think I
training
count for
people
this one.
that keeps them in it. And I'm curious, what does this do for you, like on a personal level, that keeps you coming back to this craziness?
Covering your mic a little bit.
You're covering your mic.
I am.
Uh-huh.
It's echoing a little.
It's because you plugged his phone in. Phones do that when you plug them in.
Oh, that sucks.
No, it's not bad.
It's not bad. You're fine.
Okay, because it's like on 10%, so I kind of need it.
My why. So I mean, like I ask myself that question at the end of every month because our rotation schedule is like normally 3 weeks on and like 5 days off at the end of the month. So we get like 5 straight days off in between our board and trains. And at the end of every month, especially if it was a harder month, like we had harder cases in, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm going back to a real job. And then like 5 days go by and I'm like really excited for drop-offs again. And it really just comes down to like, I love helping dogs. I really love seeing the transformation. I love watching a dog come out of their shell. Like I live for that. It's like an adrenaline rush for me. There's so many days that I come home from work and it, like you were saying, like it does, you put so much of you in. For me, I get a little bit more emotional than I probably should. And I definitely, there's days I come home, especially on harder days where the dogs are struggling, or I'm just like, I just don't get it. Like, I'm struggling. Like and that in the beginning stage is trying to figure it out and everything. And then all of a sudden it clicks and it feels so good. And like, I can't explain it to anybody. Like Corey's the only person that gets it in my life because she's the other trainer. But like trying to explain it to like my parents or trying to explain it to like my boyfriend, they're just like, you complain so much all the time. This is like, and then like one day you're just like in love again. And I'm like, because it's just the process. It's like riding the roller coaster with the dogs. I live for that moment. And especially too, like with the owners, like you said, like when it clicks with them, with an owner that's really struggling or at the bottom of their rope, when all of a sudden it clicks with them, like I live for that moment. And it's like my best thing. I'll do this for as many years as I can to just get those moments.
Nice.
I like the fact that I can, like, I feel like I can tear walls down for clients. Like something they struggle for months and years, you know, we can figure it out in a session or two, you know, and it's that whole like little light bulb moment for them. And that, you know, just the way they see, you know, us communicating with the dog and how easy we make it look. And it's just, you know, I like to be that translator, I guess. I enjoy the aha moment when owners just get it, you know.
What does it do for you, like personally, on a personal level?
You know, it gives me that little adrenaline too. It gives me that little, I don't know, it just gives me that little push to keep going. I don't know.
That je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, je ne sais quoi. Yeah.
Miss Alexis.
Right now it's, I don't know. Right now it's just
nap time.
stay awake. They keep me awake. If I'm working a dog, I have to be functioning. The rest of the time I'm not functioning anymore. I think for me, it's kind of a double thing. Dogs saved my life, so it's kind of giving back to them in a way, and kind of it's my little bit that I can do to help them out. And then for kind of my people, coming from the perspective of somebody that had trainers, multiple trainers tell me to put a dog down because they couldn't fix the issue. I don't want somebody else to have to even think about having to make that choice. So for me, it's very much, I want to try and help as many people I can better their lives and better their dogs' lives and figure that out together, and getting to see them kind of have these moments where they're like, oh my God, I never thought my dog would ever be able to go for a walk.
Yeah.
For me, it's like a heartbreaking / heartwarming, like, cool, I did a good thing today and their life is going to be changed forever.
That warm fuzzy feeling, baby.
It is that warm. It's not even like an adrenaline rush. I don't care about that. I'm just like, cool, you guys are going to have a happy life now.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I keep at it and why I'm pushing so much and working 70 hours a week trying to make this get off the ground and start going. Is just, I'm sick of hearing everybody's, well, they told us our dog was never going to go for a walk or would never be able to interact with a dog or would never be okay around people. I'm like, that's bullshit. Let's work on this. Let's open up the doors for you and let's make it so that you just enjoy your life and your dog enjoys its life, and just determined to change the world one dog at a time, I guess.
I think that it's like weird, like once again, like trying to talk to people outside of this industry about it, like trying to talk to like my boyfriend about it, and like we're sitting down, we're trying to buy a house and we're talking about finances and everything. And obviously we all know there's money that can be made in this industry, but that's not why I'm in this industry. Trying to explain that to somebody who's not in this industry, they don't necessarily get it. And like, they're like, just book more dogs, like make more money. And I'm like, yeah, but then that's going to take away from the quality. And what I'm in here for is for the quality.
Yep.
And so I'm only going to book 3-4 dogs because that's what I can handle. And that's the quality. And that means I get that dog is getting everything, and they're getting those moments from me. The owners are getting the proper explanations. The time is going to the appropriate place. And I think
you
that
do that because there's some trainers out there that don't.
Right. And I think
companies,
that it's hard for people to hear that. Yeah.
The bigger franchises rather pile up dogs on these trainers and have people wait and them lose.
Right.
Like,
yeah, but I think it's like one of those things that people they just don't get. And I think that people don't realize that a lot of at least good dog trainers like us do this for the dogs and the people, and not necessarily the money. The money is just a nice benefit, but you know, when it comes down to it, we're business owners. We're missing out on other things like insurance and life insurance and things like that. So it's really not all it's cracked up to be. It's for the dogs. Like we're doing this because we like the work, because we like the things that we're doing with our hands and the moments that we're creating and the education that we're giving and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's area that I'm at or if everybody kind of runs into it. I mean, I don't even have people that don't just get the like, well, why do you do this when it comes to the financial side? I have people that they just don't understand why I would do this in general. And they're like, well, why would you risk getting bit by a dog every day? Why not just start over with a different dog? Or I don't know, that's kind of how it is up here, is just, well, this one's not working out, so we're just gonna give up on it. And people they either just don't take it seriously, they're mind blown that it's like a career thing. They're like, oh, you charge money to do this? You don't just do this for nothing? Or they're just like, well, why do you bother? That sounds like a lot of work for nothing.
Like the second question that people will always ask me, like, oh, like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a dog trainer. And then the second question is always like, do you make money? Like that's always what people's line of thoughts go to, or like, why?
Like your full-time job?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, it's always even just interesting here, whether it's out with a client working a dog or I'm out with my dog working, for one of the dogs now working. And every time, like, people watch you train and they'll sit there for a minute and you're doing your thing, and then they'll be like, hey, so what are you training your dog for? And they think it has to have like some special dog.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't want her to be a dick.
Right.
Like, I'm just
everywhere I go. It's like,
dog.
what is the dog training for?
What's wrong with
Just
it?
to live life? I don't know. To
Yeah.
be normal.
Yeah, I don't get very much of like the what's wrong with it, but everyone's just like, oh, so she doesn't have a job.
It's
Like, no, her job is just to not be an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that asked a lot when I'm working my dogs. So what is it being trained to do? Live a normal life, you know, like listen.
People
to
always
humans.
ask, oh, are they training? Oh, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Nothing. The owners just wanted, to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Or I always get a little bit mind boggled when like we're just having like a mediocre day and there's some stuff that we're working through and people are still like, oh my God, your dog is so well behaved. I'm like, this is her being a hot mess. What are you
Day 3
talking
for this
about?
guy, still learning.
Like, this is her embarrassing me with her behavior. And people are like, oh, really? Can I have your dog then?
And we can't even take the compliment because we know the dog's still a dick. Like,
yeah.
like this dog's behaving? Like, I wouldn't want to see your dog. Yeah.
Cool. I appreciate you guys answering my question.
Oh, we're happy to do it.
Do you have any more questions, Russ?
No. No, I'm just interested always in like why. I think you got to be a little bit crazy to do this shit, to be a trainer and to be successful with it. And I'm always curious, like, why people are willing to be crazy. Why people like, what is it? That's why I asked, like, what's the why?
Do you see
Because I
yourself
think, like-
doing something else?
What?
Do you see yourself doing something else?
I definitely think that I'll always work with dogs, but I do see
That's
myself.
exactly what I was asking. That's all you got to answer there.
But I see myself doing other things too,
Oh yeah, duh. Yeah.
because I think that like dogs are just one part of my mission in life. Like
Yeah.
I'm here to help people. I'm here to change the world, and it's not going to just happen through dogs for me. For some people
Right.
that's there, but for me it's going to be bigger than that. I already think it's bigger than that. So that's why like my social media is not always just about dogs. I'll share
Yeah.
thoughts on whatever I want to talk about, and because I think that that's what I was put here for. Like if I have ideas in my head, they're meant for the world, not just for me. I'm not going to be selfish with them. So yeah, I'll always work with dogs to some extent, but I will definitely do more with whatever this mission that I was given to do on this earth while I'm here, that will probably branch out of dogs too.
I think that's why a lot of trainers struggle with burnout, is because a lot of trainers, which is not necessarily a bad thing, some trainers do want to be that, but I think a lot of trainers literally see themselves only as a dog trainer. Like, hey, I'm Rachel, I'm a dog trainer. No, I'm Rachel. My job and my career is a dog trainer. I also like to read books. I went to school for history. I have a bachelor's degree. Like, there's other things to me, and too many of dog trainers like don't get outside of the dog trainer hat. Like, take that hat off sometimes and like go easy on yourself. Like, you have other things about you, and it's okay to want to do another job at some point or to have other interests and things like that. Because I think that's a big reason why a lot of us do struggle with burnout, because we're always wearing that hat. Like, we all struggle to take that hat off. I think it comes to the line of work, because we do kind of work around the clock. And we have to at some we have to at some point take that hat off and just remember, like, there's more to us. Like, we have other things to offer this world. That's why I always really like your post, Russ, is they have more to offer. Great stuff. Follow him on social media.
Hey Russ,
Yeah.
what is your social?
I'm really in this just for social media clout, so I better gain some followers.
What are your socials?
My social media is KalmK9Training everywhere. So
Kalm with a K, guys.
Kalm with a K. So it's Facebook, Instagram. My TikTok is nonsense, but follow me there too. I'm trying to hit 10K so I can be cool.
I'm hitting it first.
You probably are, because you actually post valuable content as opposed to just sitting in a bathroom. But if you want to see that,
Russ talking shit.
if you want to see the hair down, you got to go on TikTok.
Yes. If you want to see Russ in the tub, you go on TikTok.
Seriously, the last 3 TikToks of yours, I've seen her in the tub.
Yeah.
Or shower.
I'm trying to ride that trend, because I see that Ryan got like a shit ton of followers and all he does is live in a bathtub. So I'm like, all right, that's just what you got to do to get clout these days. So I just ride
Sounds
fast.
good.
All he does is live in a
I
bathroom.
don't have a bathtub. I'm fucked.
It's okay. He did the shower too. It worked for it.
I did the shower also. I have a shower TikTok.
Literally, that was the first. So I literally had not been on dog training TikTok for over 30 days. I opened up the dog training account.
Not
The
to
very
that.
first video I see is Russ in a freaking shower, and I'm like, what did I miss?
Yeah, Ryan started something. I like that. Ryan definitely started something. I'm trying to think of how to stitch his video, but it's gonna be good.
All right,
Yeah, that
so
was
we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you very much, Russ, for coming on to our podcast. We are really happy that you did it. You can find all of Russ's socials in the info box down below, and we will make sure that we paste it everywhere. You can also find our socials down there, and if you follow those links, you'll get to everybody's individual socials as well. Thank you for watching Let's Talk Dog Bit. Let's try that again.
Do it again. Take 2.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Dog podcast, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Russ. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This was fun.